Hey y'all. So this your girl Quita. So I'm not really gonna speak up on anything that's not fact. So this is just like from personal experience. Okay, so we're gonna be discussing public housing and the government on and how it's designed to separate families. Okay, so my personal experience. Yes, I've lived in public housing before. Okay, so this was my experience. So, I was going through a tough time in my life. Years back, I didn't have no family, I didn't have no support or anything like that. So I got on public housing. Um, and when I took the offer, when I first stepped, this was the first one. So when I first stepped into the apartment, I did it automatically. Didn't care for it. It wasn't to my likings. It wasn't to my expectations. So I pretty much got in the apartment, and then when I noticed when I started moving to the apartment, I started feeling like, like sick. That was the first thing. Like I started getting like sinus issues. I started getting um just all type of issues, right? So when I would go to the, doctor and everything like that, like it's just like oh allergies. So I happened to make a long story short, there was mold in the apartment. It not only was there mold, it was a lot of things in the apartment. Mold. I started getting rodents. I started getting a lot of things. A lot of people when they're in like public housing, they don't fully too much like to address anything or too much want to complain to the office because they feel like they need their housing that bad. I mean, I was the type of person, like I've always been outspoken, so I feel like even if you are on public housing and anything goes wrong, don't be afraid to, speak up, because I've always been that type of person. So I immediately, because that's one thing I don't play about is rodents. Mm-mm, not my cup of tea. So they moved me to another apartment. So then you would think by moving you to another apartment, a bigger apartment, whatever, better apartment, it would be, you know, better for you. So I move into the other apartment, and then that's the first thing I do is like I expect it. I'm expecting it, and it looked pretty decent. And then it happened. So make a long story short, I started checking the AC vent, and I started seeing a lot of dust, a lot of this, and a lot of this, and a lot of that. I was unhappy in the apartment. I just was like really unhappy. Like the space, the rooms are not even big enough for a mother with children. So their closet space is pretty much like not. I wouldn't even say like it's a walk-in closet. It's like pretty much like a little piece of something closet, and it doesn't have any doors. It's just pretty much something that you have to put like your own like little curtain on, and it's really not spacious for me. So I just couldn't deal with it. I didn't, my personal experience, I didn't feel like public housing was for me. I didn't feel like it was for me. I didn't care for it. I didn't like it. It made me actually depressed. It made me sad. Like it was just something that I didn't like it. I just felt like it was designed to separate families. A lot of women that I would see that was in public housing when I lived on it, a lot of them, you know, had to apply for child support. They had to do a lot of things to survive, and I was just like, no, like this is not me. I don't wanna live off the government. I don't wanna, I wanted better for myself. So pretty much, I gave up my apartment. I literally just gave it up. I didn't notify them. I didn't tell them nothing. I just left the apartment, and I was out of there. Like I was just, it was just like the best decision ever. So I stepped out on faith, and and I just went and got a house, and I just you know saved up. So pretty much when you in public housing, the best thing for you is to save. That is very important when you're in public housing, is saving. You have to save. Don't live in public housing and make that as a permanent, residence for you. Like, make it something temporary. Like, have a goal. You have to have a goal. You have to have a savings plan. You have to have a pretty much like a strategy when you're living in public housing. Like, this is not something that you're supposed to live on for, you know, a long periods of time. Like, save. Like, you have to save. Like, the system will try to work you, so you got to work the system. So you got to know how to save. Like, it's just pretty much a temporary thing. The rent is very, very cheap. The light bill ain't nothing. The water bill ain't nothing. So, I had my own little thing, that I was doing, so it's just like you have to save. So that way when you leave, you can say, oh, I did this, to do better for myself. Like, don't get in public housing and feel like, okay, this is good. That's really not something to be proud of, put it like that. It's good to say that, temporary, because a lot of people needed it, because at that time I did need it too, but I wasn't proud. I actually was ashamed to live there, and I didn't like it. I didn't like anything of it. The workers, they're mean, nasty. They talk to you any kind of way. They feel like they own you. It's your apartment they gave to you, through the government, but they come in there and feel like they own you. They can tell you what to do, what not to do, and a lot of people be scared to speak up because they don't want to lose their apartment. I've never been that type of person. I always speak up for myself, and I just don't I never gave a damn, pretty much. Like, you're not finna talk to me any kind of way. So I just feel like public housing is just something that's temporary. Like, for those of you that's out there on it, have a plan, have a strategy, try to, work your way to the top, pretty much just save. You gotta have faith and save. Just have faith and save. Saving is really not hard. I personally didn't care for it, so I got off of it. And another thing I noticed, like, when you start to do better for yourself and you don't live, no longer living that life, somebody always got something to say about you. Somebody always want to talk about you. Somebody always want to throw up your past, or, oh, you this and you did. Okay, and that was the past. Okay, we all got to crawl before we walk. So we're going to speak on that too. So, anybody ever lived on public housing before? How long did you live on it, and what plan and strategies did you use to get yourself off of it? Because I personally didn't care for it, and it just wasn't for me. And I actually felt so much better just giving it up, and I, stepped out on faith. And that's not something that I would ever want to get on anymore, because it's just, I just feel like when you, also another thing, like when you live on public housing, it's just like, I noticed, like, people look at you different. People don't respect you. People look at you like you nothing, because you live on, public housing. You're getting government assistance. You're this and you're that. Like, I just never understood. It just wasn't for me. They honestly, like they say, when you in public housing, like, they have all these plans to help you. They don't help you. You're pretty much in that apartment, and you on your own. They have really nothing to help you. And first of all, when you're on public housing, you can't even really much, like, get assistance, like, with paying your rent if you really wanted to, or anything. Like, they don't help you with nothing, because they feel like pretty much like your rent is already cheap. They don't have to help you. But what about the people that get, like, child support or SSI, and that's their only income, right? And if that's your only income, they're deducting $200-300. Say your rent is probably like $300 or $200, and then you gotta pay your light bill, you gotta pay your gas bill, you gotta pay your car insurance, your cell phone, all that type of stuff. If you're only getting SSI or child support, what money do you have left over to take care of yourself and your kids? So that's another thing that I didn't understand. about living in public housing. So I was just like, people would come talk to me all the time, so because I was a hairstylist, so people would come talk to me all the time, like telling me like, they get this and they get that. And I was just like, well, how do you survive? Like, how do you survive getting just a, SSI check and they're deducting this out of your check? And I'm just like, dang. So it's pretty much like you living, you have an apartment, but it's like you pretty much, you might well say like homeless. Pretty much like you still in need. There's no type of help for you in public housing. It's just like they take so much from you to where you can't never get on your feet. So that's why I just tell anybody out there, if you ever lived in public housing, to get off of it and have a plan, have a strategy, and just try to do better for yourself. You gotta have faith in God, because God is real, and as long as you have faith in God, He's gonna make some miracles. So I ain't gonna make this video too long, but yeah.